Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today we're going to have a deep dive review on the full picture of what's going on around the nation as far as evictions. And for the year of 2023, we've had over 1 million eviction filings. Again, well over 1 million eviction filings. And so today I'm going to report to you guys what are the top 6 metro areas that are suffering from an eviction crisis, and what is the top state of eviction. And I think you guys are going to be incredibly surprised. Plus, we're going to review a video from several tenants that have been recently evicted, and we're going to study what mental impacts that's actually having on U.S. citizens. Not to mention, we're also going to look at a couple of videos where landlords are now forcing tenants out of their properties by either creating a toxic living environment or having skyrocketing rents. And you guys, they're doing this to the elderly, they're doing this to single mothers, they're doing this to families. And one of the primary reasons they're doing this is they want to force tenants out so they can create additional dwellings. So this is going to be a pretty heavy video today. And if you guys can like this video, it really helps out the channel. If you need any help whatsoever as far as commercial financing, please fill out the link in my description, send the application to me, and I will call you back directly. Now, where I'm going to get started, you guys, is we're going to listen to a brief video on the mental impacts of eviction. And then we're going to listen to about 3 or 4 tenants, and they're going to share the impacts that eviction is having on their lives.
New research shows a link between eviction and premature death, a link shown to be even stronger during the pandemic. During the first 2 years of the COVID-19 crisis, the mortality rate was more than twice as high for renters facing eviction. We spoke to renters across the country who have faced eviction about the toll housing instability took on their health.
My name is Sabrina Davis. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I was evicted in February of 2021.
I am Macario Garcia. I live in Dallas, Texas. I was faced with eviction and I am currently still struggling.
I am Bree Davis. I currently live in Durham, North Carolina. I am the mother of a wonderful 10-year-old son. We were evicted in December of 2022.
After 2 years of struggling to pay rent, I get faced with eviction and all I could feel was my blood pressure drop. During that moment, I saw myself in the street. Here in Dallas, we have a homelessness problem, and I saw myself like that.
After living in a house that I was renting for a year and complaining about high utility bills, the landlord, instead of fixing the issue, decided he would hand me an eviction. I mean, where was I going to go? That was my main thing is, oh my God, I can't be homeless.
There was no cushion for a working mother and a son who was excelling in school. We were supposed to be a part of a community, and the decline immediately happens. The sleepless nights, the diet changes, the anxiety.
Your mind is just racing, and it's the one topic in your mind: eviction, eviction, eviction.
I suffer with chronic pain from my neck to my toes. So when I got evicted, that stress intensified that chronic pain that I was already living with.
It was about a 6-month or 7-month span, Airbnb and hoteling it until we found a room to rent. We didn't have a kitchen to cook in. Everything was microwaved at some point or eating out. In addition to that, we're open to COVID and viruses and colds. And there is a fear of going to the doctor. You're trying to pay for a roof over your head every night. So God forbid you get sick and have to pay for medicine or examinations.
I decided that the extra $100 to $200 that I had to spend for the 2 weeks till next pay period, that it was going to be for food. It's no longer for food or transportation. It's for late fees. It's to catch up on rent.
My hair was falling out really bad. It was horrible. It was scary. And I was having such stress that one day I was having heart palpitations. I got really clammy and sweaty and nauseous. I didn't think I'd make it through the other side.
You guys, think about these people. Think about how sad this is. And it's not exactly what you think. You know, some people may think, then why did you decide to rent something that you couldn't afford? But what you guys are about to see is a lot of these landlords are actually increasing the rent at levels that are just not fair. People can't keep up with the massive increases of rent. Now, they're doing that for a few reasons, and we'll dig into these videos here in a minute. They're either doing it because they want to force tenants out to either bulldoze down the property and rebuild high-rise condos or whatever, or they're passing on the expenses to the tenants. And remember, you guys, income growth. We don't have enough income growth. Citizens, normal citizens, have not made enough money over the last 3 years to afford this. The only way we've been able to sustain is we got printed a whole bunch of money. That money's gone. We're left with the bill, and the bill is something that America can't afford. But again, you guys, we're listening to the tenants, we're listening to the stress that this is causing on families. And again, I went through something similar to this. I mean, imagine never being able to catch up. Imagine eviction knocking on your door every single month. And then imagine you have children that also have to go through that. That's super duper sad. Something needs to be done. I don't know exactly what needs to be done other than prices need to come down. Prices need to come down so these people that you just listened to, they don't have to be going through life suffering. Now, let's listen to what some of these greedy, corrupt, borderline evil landlords are doing. I'm about to play you guys a video from a mobile home park in Miami, Florida, and listen to what some of the landlords are trying to do, essentially making the living conditions toxic.
They say the management company has given them until July 22nd to get out.
Queremos llegar a un acuerdo.
It's not fair that they've been paying their rent and living on the property for so many years, and there's so many elderly and women and families and children who are there, and now they're just all being displaced.
According to a lawsuit filed in Miami-Dade County Court, the Homeowners Association alleges the property owners won't provide essential services to the park, including garbage pickup, sewer and water lines, or adequate storm drainage. They go on to allege the property owner is willingly doing so in an effort to force people from their homes. Shots from above give you an idea of the area residents soon won't be able to occupy. Shots from the ground show the conditions residents want addressed.
Cuando llueve,
The black water from the waste comes up into the property, and it stinks up the property.
necesitamos ese mantenimiento.
Also, just in the general property, there's not hygiene of and maintenance of the property.
Delmy Ramirez says she's lived here for 10 years. She says the garbage isn't picked up regularly, so it often looks like what you see in this picture. She says every time it rains, it floods. Residents are also claiming they started paying more in rent, but the sewage system is still not fixed.
No tenemos a dónde irnos.
The landlord is saying that the reason that they're trying to displace the residents is because they're going to be doing a change of land use on the property.
And that's it right there, you guys. The landlord wants to bulldoze down that poor mobile home park and create high-rise condos. It's in Miami, Florida. And look at what the landlord is doing to try to force those residents out. They have sewage backups. They have drainage issues. They're also raising rent. And again, this is where people live. You heard there's families there. There's elderlies there. You got to remember that landlords do not care about you. It's a very, very sad thing. Some landlords are great landlords, but most of them, especially these corporations, they'll bulldoze over you. It doesn't matter if you're 91 on your deathbed or you have 5 children, no place else to go. This is why I'm constantly telling you guys, you have to worry about yourself. You have to constantly empower yourself and try to get ahead of this inflation. If you can't get ahead of the inflation, you may be like one of these people where you get swept away in it. You don't want to get swept away in this. You want to do as best you can to stay ahead of it. Now let's listen to one more story of another situation to where a landlord is trying to force out tenants by jacking up the rent. And you guys, here's the crazy thing. This is a normal occurrence. Imagine living somewhere, again, for 10 years and then having all these problems, being uprooted, being forced out. Imagine that.
Aberdeen, Washington, just 2 hours west of Seattle, has always felt like home sweet home.
And my kids took karate lessons over in the next block.
That is, until she was forcibly removed from hers.
They started hauling our stuff out and stacking it in the street. and people would come by and dig through it and take what they wanted.
Catherine says she and her daughter Liliana moved into an apartment a few years ago and quickly started having problems with the landlord.
We had been there almost no time at all when they jumped the rent up some more. The cupboards and the drawers in the kitchen were off the rails.
Despite always paying her rent on time, in February they received an eviction notice, citing demolition of the building as the reason she had to leave.
If they were going to
Bingo.
tear it down, why would they have been renting it the same day we got the eviction papers?
There's a lot of pressure on some of these houses for landlords to evict people so they can raise the prices or sell them or turn them into condos.
Catherine's case reflects a rising trend in the U.S. With pandemic-era eviction moratoriums and federal assistance programs now gone, some cities' eviction filings are dramatically higher than pre-pandemic levels, in some cases over 50% higher.
Housing costs are increasing, but wages are not increasing at a rate fast enough to meet those prices.
And that's exactly what's going on around the nation. Now I want to show you guys the top 6 metro areas and the top state. But I started with those videos because I want you guys to be, empathetic, even show sympathy when I give you this next set of data. Because again, I only showed you about 5 or 6 individuals. We have millions of citizens, of US citizens, going through this tragedy. Something needs to be done, you guys. And the problem is every time the government or the state tries to do something, it benefits the rich and hurts the poor even more. Something needs to be done. It's not fair for these people that have been living there for 10 years on a fixed income to have the cost of living double. That is not fair. That is not how we should be living. That is not how the government doing stuff should impact our lives. None of us asked for this. None of us. But we are certainly paying for it. Regardless, guys, let's go into Eviction Lab and look at some more data. So we're using Eviction Lab to look at eviction data, you guys. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of data websites that have eviction information, which is crazy to me because it's 2024. But let me read a little bit about Eviction Lab so you guys remember who they are. The Eviction Lab is a team of researchers, students, and website architects who believe that a stable, affordable home is central to human flourishing and economic mobility. Wow, that's cool. Accordingly, understanding the sudden traumatic loss of home through eviction is fundamental to understanding poverty in America. And the way they get this, guys, is they draw from tens of millions of records. The Eviction Lab at Princeton University, so this is in Princeton, has published the first ever data set of evictions in America going back to the year of 2000. But there's still issues here, guys. I'm letting you know there's issues here, but I don't know of another source to get eviction data. So we're kind of stuck with using Eviction Lab. Now, let me show you guys the #1 state with eviction surges. First of all, comment below, pause the video, comment below, and let me know if you think you know the state. Okay, I'm pretty sure you don't know the state, but see if you can guess it. Comment below. Surprisingly, the #1 state for surging evictions, not the #1 for total evictions, but the trajectory, the surging, is Minnesota. How is it Minnesota? You guys, Minnesota right now is 131% of their average, which means they have 31% more evictions than normal. That's astonishing. And that's year over year for 22,000 evictions. And this is probably, honestly, guys, this is probably greatly underreported from Princeton. They don't have all the information. What I also find interesting is these numbers. These appear to be out of whack. There's only a 4% eviction rate. I'm going to show you guys metros that have way higher than 4%. But the crazy thing is the serial filing rate is abnormally high for such a low eviction rate, sitting at 13%. But again, you guys, as a total state, Minnesota is in the worst shape as far as the trajectory of evictions. Now let's start with the top 6 metro areas. And I'm going to start with #6. Again, you guys, see if you can guess below. See if you can guess 6 metro areas. What are the 6 top metro areas with evictions? Now, #6 is actually my home metro area of Houston, Texas. My own metro area is #6 on this list with an average. Just think about this, 143% of average, which means it's 43% more than average, sitting at 83,000 evictions. And look at the eviction rate. Again, way worse than Minnesota, sitting at 10%. That means 1 out of every 10 renters is evicted. You guys, and the people that are evicted have a 23% serial filing rate. And just in the past month, just looking in the past month alone, we're 154% of average. In the last month, there have been almost 6,000 eviction filings in Houston, Texas. So if you're a landlord out here in Houston, Texas, be warned, tenants cannot afford those rent payments. We see it here. Again, number 6 is Houston, Texas. Number 5 is Las Vegas, Nevada. And personally, I'm shocked that this is so low on the list. I thought this would be the top 3, but it's not. It's number 5, sitting at 150% of average. So again, 50% more than normal. This is showing us the trends, right? This is showing us in these markets, people are suffering. The citizens are suffering. The renters are suffering. And the things that are going on economically, macro and micro, is not sustainable. It is not. We see that here. When consumers stop paying, crisis happens. But again, they're sitting at 150% with 54,000 eviction filings in tiny Las Vegas. And month over month, they're at 38% above average, sitting at 3,800. Now, again, look at the eviction filing rate. How is Vegas not number 1, right? Eviction filing rate is 15%. What is that? 1 out of every 8? 1 out of every 8 tenants is evicted, and a 35% serial filing rate. That's 1 out of every 3 people. That means they can't get out of poverty. They're stuck in poverty. You guys, Las Vegas did rebound in 2023 as far as the housing market. But when we look underneath the covers, we see a completely different story. We see people are barely hanging on. But again, number 5 is Las Vegas at 150% of average. Number 4 is Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and obviously Minnesota. Now they're sitting at 151% of average with 12,258 filings. Now, even though this is the number 4, pay attention again to the eviction filing rate. The eviction filing rate is only 4%. That means, in my opinion, they got more room to grow. But what's intriguing, guys, is this shows us and demonstrates that those tenants can't afford to live and that the landlords are charging too much money because the trajectory is skyrocketing. And another thing that we may be seeing here, guys, is we may be seeing just the end of the moratoriums, of the rent bans or the rental assistance through COVID, because again, 151% of average, but yet it's only a 4% eviction rate. Again, it's a new problem. Something is going on in Minnesota and things are spiraling out of control. Number 3 is Gainesville, Florida. We finally have a Florida. Again, number 3. This is shocking. Again, remember the stories we just listened to. Remember the anxiety. Remember the turmoil. Remember the drama that this creates. And look at this, guys. We're sitting at 168%. How is that possible? 168%, 1,872 filings, month over month, 54% over average. And again, unlike the other metro areas, eviction filing rate only 6%. But look at the serial filing rate. That means that people are stuck, again, in poverty. 24% filing rate. To me, this is not telling us the full picture. If we have a 68% above average, again, to me, that means there's an eviction crisis going on right now in Florida, probably because the natives cannot afford to live there. Because again, the income didn't go up at the same rate as rent. Number 2 is a little bit of a shocker, you guys. Another Florida metro area with Miami. Finally, some turmoil in Miami. Now, Miami is sitting at 62% above average. That's pretty shocking, you guys. That's 48,000 eviction filings in tiny Miami. Again, in little tiny Miami, they had 48,000 eviction filings. Now, month over month, they're at 46% above average with an 8% eviction filing rate. And somehow, you guys, I don't know how this is possible, but they have a 36% serial filing rate. That means people are stuck. If you're in Miami and you're in poverty, you're probably not going to get out of poverty unless you move. I mean, let's be realistic here. And Miami is super expensive, but look at, guys, I mean, this is the trajectory of what's going on in those last 2 Florida metro areas is astonishing. And real quick, I had those last 2 metros flipped. Miami was supposed to be number 3. Gainesville was supposed to be number 2, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the number 1 metro now. And do me a favor, seriously, think about it. What metro do you think is number one? What metro did we not cover? Comment below. Pause the video. Let's see if you get it. The number one metro area with surging evictions is Phoenix, Arizona, sitting at a 63% above average with 104,000 eviction filings the past year. Again, this is under Gainesville, but look at the number of filings. Again, when we go back to Gainesville, it's only 872. Even though they're above average, it's still, I still feel like we should have Phoenix as number one, because look at the eviction filing rate. First of all, 18% eviction filing rate month over month. They're at 46% above average with 6,700 filings. But again, when we look at year over year, 63% above average. 104,000 people just got hurt. 104,000 people in the Phoenix area living with anxiety, stress, and turmoil. And how many of those 104,000 people have families? How many of them are in fixed income? How many of them just want a normal life? They just want to be left alone. They don't want to take over the world. They just want balance. They want to be safe. They want to be happy. That's it. Isn't that fair to give them? And I guess for me, the really frustrating thing is that American dream of having a home, a happy family, being safe, being balanced has been chipped away and destroyed by corporate greed. And it's not just corporate greed, the landlord greed. The landlord greed right now is remarkable. It's horrible. Look on YouTube. Look at all these people selling courses to buy more and more single family residences. I mean, I get it. If you're an investor, buy, the duplexes, the 5 units, the 10 units, the 15 units, right? But not single family residences. And another thing, passing on the expenses to the tenants, that's also bad. So hopefully those landlords will just sell. Sell to a first-time homeowner. Do something to help us. Your investments are no longer profitable, at least in the metro areas that we covered. Now, I don't know, guys, in conclusion here, all I want to say is it's not too late to change your lifestyle. If you have the opportunity. Some people don't have the opportunity. And to those people that are struggling with evictions, that cannot get out of it, my heart goes out to you. And what I had to do is take baby steps. I had to first, when I was in my problems and going through my situation, the first thing was I had to put myself in a situation to repair my credit. Right? That was the first thing I had to do. And then as I was repairing my credit, I would slowly start being okay again. But it took me about 6 years, you guys, to start saving money again. 6 years, I couldn't even save money. It was paycheck to paycheck. So I understand the struggle. Things get better. You are loved. You are important. Do not give up hope and do not quit. It is a fight, but don't stop. All right? Don't stop. It gets easier. You're appreciated. You're loved again. I mean, this is, I grew up in a mobile home. All right. I grew up in a mobile home in Southern California. I understand poverty, and it hurts me to see this, because what is the other side of the coin on that poverty? Someone's getting rich. Someone's getting rich off of people's poverty. And that really upsets me. So hopefully, again, I'll shut up, but hopefully we can band together as a real estate mindset community and look after each other. At least that's what I'm hoping. I'll shut up now. I'm going to let you guys go. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you guys already know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.